Hi everyone. In this video, I want to demonstrate a chatbot kind of playground app that's hosted on AKS and leveraging AKS KAITO and Microsoft Foundry hosted language models. Okay, so here I built a Python app using the Streamlit UI, right? More for the chatbot capabilities. The purpose of this one, fairly configurable to point to, Microsoft Foundry hosted or deployed language models, and also with AKS KAITO hosted language models as well. I also find that previously when I built with Streamlit the various chatbots, they're very strongly tied to, say, Foundry or AKS KAITO language models, but I want to build something that it's a bit more flexible and extensible and configurable to different AI providers. Here I have a menu where first I'm starting off with the general chat assistant. It ties into Microsoft Foundry, and in that Microsoft Foundry project, I've deployed these models. This is hosted in AKS, but Foundry is external to AKS. But just to test it out, let's see here. Let's just try this prompt. Okay, so here's a response. It says, I am an AI assistant created by DeepSeek. So that worked out pretty good. Of course, we can toggle to, let's say, GPT 5.2 chat. What language model are you? Okay, and while that runs, and it turns, and this is the response, and that's pretty cool. If we flip over to, let's say, Microsoft Foundry, this is my Foundry project, and these are the models, right, that I've deployed. And so the way that I connect to these models, the key ingredient here is that you go to each one, and then you have a target URI and the API key, right? And then I set that into a configuration YAML file, right, in my chatbot application. If we go here, I'm starting to add more diagnostics and metrics and debugging. So if we see here, this was my first prompt to, let's say, the model DeepSeek. That one it took a while. And you see the input tokens and the number of output tokens. And so you can keep track and kind of evaluate the tokens that get used. Also, I have a debug, which is the same thing here. Plan is to add more comprehensive, debugging. I want to add like capabilities where there's more analytics into the context window of the chat conversation. So that's something I plan to build into. So, and then also the flip side of this is I have a Kaido assistant. Okay, right now it's kind of tied into a Kaido hosted LLM, and that's hosted in the same AKS cluster that this application is running under, right? So let's say if I do this one right here, just new chat. So this is a 5.4 mini instruct. You can find that this is like an open weighted language model, small, capable, and so you can go Hugging Face and look for it there. So let's try out the 5.4 mini instruct model with this prompt. What language model are you? So here, that was pretty responsive. Chat is a language model developed by Microsoft, which is true for this language model. This one, it didn't quite come out as usual. It does happen when I've been using this model for quite some time on just testing. But again, this is part of having this chatbot application, is to test and see its capabilities. You find some interesting things or interesting responses, and you want to evaluate speed, latency. So let's take a look at the AKS cluster. Let's go to workloads. And so this app that I'm demonstrating is this one right here, because I built a new third version where it was built on the Microsoft Agent Framework. I think it's got good functionality there. And if we look at the services, we can see that there's a service here, Workspace 5.4 Mini, to show behind the scenes that it is actually connecting into an internal endpoint, as we see here. And the pod is right here, that's deployed, and that is controlled by this stateful set. Okay, and it is running in its own dedicated node pool that is provisioned with a NVIDIA GPU. Let me see how we can see that here. So we go back to the cluster. We go to the node pools. So the node pool 1 is the system node pool, and KAITO, when you say provided its workspace YAML file to deploy, let's say 5.4 Mini, one of the first things big steps it does is provision a node pool with NVIDIA GPU, which is right here, the NC series. And you can see with some labels here that it is supporting the 5.4 Mini language model. And so that's what that looks like behind the scenes. In terms of the, taking a step back and the high level architecture, we see here that there's an ingress service into the AKS cluster, a chatbot app using Python and Streamlit UI, and using the agent framework SDK to help orchestrate and create agent objects. We have here the AKS KAITO kind of inference models. Okay, I also have a RAG engine, a previous video that you can check out, and of course the Foundry models that are hosted outside of the AKS cluster, but there is a connection call out to that endpoint with API key. Just a little walkthrough of the code right here. Again, when you clone the repo, it's under this Azure Framework folder at this moment. You need to have an environment variable right here on the chatbot folder, providing the various Foundry endpoints, KAITO inference endpoints, right? And also, things like Claude, or Azure OpenAI, that's something that I could also build out too and make it extensible. There is a config YAML right here that provides configuration, right? So the AI Foundry as a AI provider, and also the AI Foundry endpoint and the API key. Like these are the environment variables that hold those values, the models that I want to leverage to those. So here, KAITO is another what I call AI provider, and also the respective config to get to its model. So I only have in this demo 5.4 Mini, but I tried Meta's Falcon 7B. I've tried Phi 3.5 vision model. You can put here, multiple models, and I plan to continue to make it extensible right here. So that's something to look into if you want to play around with this code. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a quick walkthrough of this application I'm building. It's out on my GitHub repo. I'm going to continue to build out some features and capabilities, and I plan on doing more videos as I kind of journey into building out this chatbot app. So if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments, and I'll put the links in the description. So thanks for watching.